I wouldn't buy one.
I thought you liked it.
I do. But I'm going to outline now a few problems, OK? We'll start with the boot.
There isn't one. I mean, there isn't one. It's under here.
No, there's no point looking. That's your lot. It's basically a sort of baking tray above the engine, really. It's OK if you've got a handful of roast potatoes to carry around with you, but otherwise useless.
Yeah.
However, look at this. This is the Smart Roadster Coupe. Same engine, same roof arrangement, same everything, but if we open the back... Enough space for a whole sack full of King Edwards.
Well, there you go, then. That's your car. What's your problem?
No, won't buy one of these either.
Because?
I'll tell you why, OK? You can buy one of these, left-hand drive, in Britain. You don't have to go to Germany or Luxembourg for it. Left-hand drive for less than £10,000. It's not quite as powerful as the British ones, and you don't get quite so many toys, but why are we paying half as much again to have the steering wheel on our side, the right side, the proper side? I mean, I love the car, I just don't like being ripped off by Germans.
It's made in France. It's made in France.
Yeah, Vichy France.
Right.
Anybody else? Hold on a minute.
Vauxhall VX220.
Out. Come on. Out. Go on, out. Right the way out. Right the way over here. The Vauxhall VX220 is a fine car in every way. Out. Sorry about that, but I've just driven the new Vauxhall VX220. We've got it on the programme in a couple of weeks. It's brilliant. In terms of acceleration, you go from 0 to 60, but only just. I tried timing it, but after 11 seconds, I got bored. Are there any men here who would think of buying this car?
Precisely. Would you? Anybody?
No? OK, now, this being a Top Gear audience, you're all car enthusiasts, so I know you haven't got wives or girlfriends. So you brought your sisters with you. What about the girls? Hands up, all the girls who would like to have this car. Oh, sort of, that's why. Are there any girls who wouldn't? You? Well, put your hand up, then. It's not a difficult instruction. It's the trouble, brothers and sisters, they're all related. It's true. I was talking the other day to a guy from Ford. I don't know who he was, wore a suit, had biscuits in meetings. Anyway, he said 80% of these are going to be sold to women. So who's going to buy the other 20%? New series of Top Gear, we thought we'd try out a new presenter, OK? He's called James May, and on the evidence of what we're about to see, he is a blithering idiot.
One day, probably in the dentist, you'll find yourself leafing idly through the small ads in the back of a classic car magazine. And you'll probably think to yourself, all that money I spent on a Ford Mondeo could have been used to buy something really interesting, like Mark II Inspector Morse-style Jag, for example. An old Porsche 911. There are quite a few old Porsche 911s in here. Look, you could even have a Bentley. Mind you, you'd have to be a complete idiot to buy one of those. This one's mine. It's a T2, pretty much the cheapest Bentley money can buy. You can pick one of these up for 7 or 8 grand, but don't, because for that money it's going to be a complete bag of bolts. This, though, is a good one. It cost 14 grand, but it's got a full-service history. All the parts are genuine. There's no rust, no filler, and no evidence of bodged repairs. Now, 14 grand's top dollar for one of these, but that's still only the price of the most basic Mondeo. Unlike the Mondeo, though, the Bentley shouldn't depreciate. A Mondeo is a disposable item, but a Bentley's... it's a Bentley. So why do I like it, then? Well, I like this wood. Someone's taken a lot of care over that. I like the view. I like that strip of chrome down the bonnet and the weird winged bee thing down at the end. And I like the sort of daftness of it. I mean, the light switch is there, fair enough, but the key goes here, and the windscreen wipers are here. I'd expect the windscreen wipers to be here, but this is actually the gear stick. And the handbrake's down here. It's all wrong. and I love that. Somewhere up front is a huge 6.75 litre V8 engine, but when you put your foot down, nothing happens. You get a bit more noise, and it might go a little bit faster, but on the whole it's a complete waste of time. You might as well just relax. Handling. I've got furniture that handles better than this thing. Watch. Absolutely nothing. So, it's rubbish to drive, I'm going slower than you, and yes, I look like a failed porn star. But I am in my own Bentley. Right then, a Bentley for Mondeo money. Some of you are pretty tempted by this idea, but hang on, I haven't told you how it ruined my life yet. I said this car doesn't depreciate, but big deal. Who really cares about depreciation anyway? It's just something that goes on all the time when you're in the pub or in bed. It's not something that hurts you every day. For that, you need a Bentley. Every time I go near this thing, it kicks me in the head and runs off with my wallet. It costs 80 quid to fill up and does 15 miles to the gallon, if I drive like an undertaker. I have to rent a king-size garage to keep it in, and it takes up 2 tokens at the jet wash. OK, servicing only costs about the same as it does for a mid-sized BMW, but it has to go in 3 times as often. Which is why my mechanic buys his overalls from Gucci, while I sit at home, eating gruel. Cheap thrills? You want to try this? It's bloody terrifying.
Is this
It's screaming
the
at the
Kristin
world.
Scott Thomas test?
Precisely.
Here she is, OK? Look, her. If you pull up to take her out in a Ferrari Enzo, she'll say, no, do you mind if we go in my husband's Renault Laguna? I am a driving god. When you take a dog for a walk, I am a dog-walking god.
It was a big moment. It's like being in a cartoon in that thing, and yes...
You got carried away.
I got very
Yeah.
carried away. OK, I'm not a driving god, all right? It was a mistake to make that claim.
This was a Mercedes, OK? I was driving through East London this week and I got shot, OK? Now, the
Eh?
thing... I was shot.
At last.
Well, they didn't hit me, but they hit the... No, honestly, the windscreen. So
What which?
AK-47. OK, in the car.
cool.
No, I'm sorry. I know he's got a beard. He's got the... I think that's a cool car.
That is so wrong.
No, it isn't. It's cool. And if you
Oh,
want to
no.
do something about it...
I like a reasoned debate.
Now, I think that's pretty much... Actually, no, I think I'm going to put this Alpha up here.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Yes.
No, it's just escalating it, Jeremy. That's just silly.
No, I'll let you have that one. Am I a pencil? Am I a cauliflower? Am I a nuclear power station? I'm a gearbox! Oh, heavens, I must swap some cogs around. It takes forever.
Precisely.
Well, with Daihatsu, so they once flew me first class before I was working for the BBC. They flew me first class all the way to Japan via Hong Kong and then back through Maui and San Francisco. And I arrived in Japan to drive their new Charade. This was, I don't know, late 80s. I did half a lap of the track and crashed it.
Oh, well done. Well done.
And the guy said, oh, don't worry, we make one every 23 seconds. This brilliant idea where we thought we'd see if Jamie could do some cooking in his van while going round our track with the Stig driving. Anyone want to see what happened?
I'd love to.
What we're going to make today is a beautiful salad of mozzarella, fig, rocket, mint, all those beautiful things. I want to tear up my mozzarella. I want to take the tips off of my figs. Oh, my Lord. And what I want to do is put a little olive oil in. Just dress the salad. basically, if you toss this up and put that on there, right, hopefully it'll look nice. That was horrible. And I honestly felt really sick afterwards.
You can buy one of these things and tell people that you drive a mid-engined, rear-wheel drive, turbocharged, convertible Mercedes-Benz. Mercedes own smart. They may make them in France, but this is a Mercedes. You see? Does anybody here understand the 911 range? No? They're bored, aren't they?
Yes.
They've been making the same car for 13 years, and all they think to do is, well, call that one a GT3 and that one a GT2, and I'll have a turbo GT2, we'll have a GT1, a 959, put the engine in the back. God, it must be fun going into a Porsche dealership and have a 911. It'd be like ordering breakfast in America. I just want eggs!
Stop messing around and give me a Porsche!
When I was a boy and other boys were lying awake wondering how girls worked, I was lying awake thinking about the Triumph TR6. What's wrong with that?
Instead, it turned out to be awful. Let me show you what it was like to drive. Ah, yes. This is exactly what a Z8 feels like to drive. It's that same sense of, ooh, what's going to happen next? What happened when you drove this car?
Well, I crashed it.
Tell the nice ladies and gentlemen about what happened.
Well, I was going round a corner, and the next minute I went round lots and lots of corners very quickly. It was span it several times.
Actually, this is why it's called the F360, this model. You drive along and you go, and then you do a 360.
Do you know, you could be right. You could be right.
Well, this is interesting. A brochure about the opening of a new car park in Leeds. Q-Park is not only changing the way people park, but also the way they think about parking. Parking...
You don't.
It gets better. Parking provides a vital link in the mobility chain.
It does. You stop your car,
It
you
is
get out, you go
never
shopping.
an end in itself.
Well, you don't just go out to do some parking.
Well, I don't.
Come here, darling. Have a nice day.
Oh, that's better.
I've been invited to the opening of this car park.
In Leeds?
Yeah, I have to say I'm very disappointed in it because when I joined Top Gear, I thought, here we go. French Film Festival, Kristen, no. I've been invited to the opening of a car park, and it says, yes, please, I would like to come to the opening of the car park. I will be arriving, A, by car, B, on foot.
Well, I think bicycles are absolutely wonderful. You wouldn't park in a cycle lane, would you?
Park in one?
You wouldn't park in a cycle
No, but I
lane.
do drive in them fairly regularly.
You drive in cycle
Yeah, and
lanes?
bus lanes. I think the bus lane is a very good idea.
For you?
Yeah, because you think everyone's not in this. Fantastic. I'm late. I'll just zoom up it.
I don't know. Are you allowed to say that on telly?
I just did. Whether
Are
it
you
gets
gonna-
edited out.
I defy the makers of Top Gear to keep that admission in the final edit.
Well, now, we're not
I
going
think
to
that's a
know...
bit of a challenge.
Until Sunday night, we're not going to know whether it makes it into the final edit or not.
Outrageous.
What, that I drive in bus lanes? Who here drives in bus lanes? One, two. Exactly. There's only 3 of us who drive in bus lanes. They're empty for our use. So what's it... in the science corner.
Thank you, Jeremy. Now, this is really quite simple. OK, understeer works like this. You drive down the road, you turn the wheel, but the car goes straight on, crashes into a tree, and you die. Oversteer works like this. You drive down the same bit of road, turn the wheel, but the back of the car comes round like this, and you go off the road, crash into a tree, and you die. Now, oversteer is best because you don't see the tree that kills you.
This is Sharon, OK? She's all woman. She is the 911 Turbo. Now, standing next to her is Vicky. Now, Vicky, on the surface, appears to be exactly the same, but this is a body kit. Vicky's been enhanced, and so consequently is the C4S. Now, moving along, we find Amanda. Amanda is the Carrera 4. Enough of a handful for most people. Your choice. Punch. I can't drive across London. What message am I giving out?
think
you
you're right.
can't have a convertible.
Not if you're a bloke.
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to stop you there. I hate to interrupt, but this is quite honestly the biggest load of limp-wristed twaddle I've ever heard in all my 5 weeks in television. These two are not men, OK? This one, Richard Hammond, every morning sticks his head in a bucket of hair product, right? He's got a dog, but it's a poodle. And I don't know what you're laughing about, Clarkson, because you won't drink brown beer. And this is the man that says flatulence, oh, it's not funny, when clearly it is, isn't it?
But this week, I think I've come across an ad which just trumps the lot. Are you ready to see it? It's for the new Lexus RX 300. Here it is. There's the car. And the advert for it is... it changes everything.
That is a big claim, isn't it?
I don't want to go home tonight and find my front doors moved and that all my children are badgers and that I'm married to Frank Bruno. Yeah. I don't want it to... Caravans. Get out of the way! Pull over once in a while, once every 300 miles. Pull over! Please get out of the way! Please stay at a hotel next time! Please! Caravans are the bane of our lives.
Right, I've been looking at the Guinness Book of Records. It doesn't actually say that I have to use a car to tow the caravan. So instead I've decided to rely on the most powerful engine in the universe. Gravity.
.9, a tenth off. Just a tenth off.
Hey,
it's basically the same.
I'll tell you something, though. It's going to take me longer than 1 minute 23 to write it out. It's Koenigsegg...
K-O-E.
I've got that. Is there a
Right,
Y?
you carry on with that. I'll tell you something else. Who'd like to see a shot of the Stig's first attempt to get across the line? Yeah. OK, play it. Here he comes. Up to Gambon. Oh! The extraordinary thing... How are you doing?
Well, I've run out of space for that. I've got about 12 Gs on there, and I can't get them. I've got an idea, though. Hang on.
Hopeless. You've got 12 Gs.
I'll get it on there, I reckon.
Yeah.
Let's just do it if I start.
Thing is, though, I have to say about the Koenigsegg, and this is that when I was doing the speed run, there's a dip in the runway where presumably planes used to land. And when you went through that, normally 120, 130, it's fine. But once you're going past 160, it's... Ooh. And just before I set off on the speed run...
I missed a G out there, and
Keep going. There's no X in it.
Is there not?
Just before I did the speed run, the guys from Koenigsegg said, actually, would you mind awfully, we're going to put some gaffer tape round the window. Oh, that really fills you with confidence.
You need to hear that. I'm getting
Still
nervous.
an immensely impressive car.
Yeah.
Come here, let me finish it off.
Now,
You're going to be here all day.
There can't be. Is there another?
Koenigsegg, I-G-O-G-A-B-B-A.
Oh, yeah, that's... yeah, you're right.
CC. Yeah. Oh, no, there's no space for time. Just before we get carried away, though, I've spotted a couple of drawbacks with this. You're driving along, you want to change radio channels. You want to get something out of the glove box.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
No.
Unbelievably, it's even worse on the road. If I put my foot down now... The fuel consumption meter thing here is saying I'm doing 1 mile to the gallon. 1. Yeah. Why not? What possible reason is there for you not being able to use your mobile? I mean, if you've got one hand, OK, and you're talking on the phone, well, are they saying that one-handed people can't drive? Really?
That's true. That's not right.
I'm sorry, that's just not fair on disabled people. You know, there's plenty of people who've got one arm who can drive perfectly well. And if they say, well, it's the talking, but you talk to your passenger and you talk to kids in the back. I just don't this is just government I'm gonna have to put the roof up. Ah! Stop! What happened? I've had enough. It's got a squall in my face. But I can't drive that coach.
You would look spectacularly ridiculous. I hope you do one day. I'd love to see it.
I've got to try this out. I've got to see what this looks like.
I've got to see that.
It's not so much a car as a shoe.
Oh, look at that. That's fantastic.
And do you know the really funny thing is that if I did more than 500 miles in it, I'd end up with hair like this guy. Look. Look at this. Came with a Copen.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. OK, now let's see the first one here on the screen. Look! Oh! what I find particularly interesting about this is the crook lock. Who the hell does he think he's going to steal it? And then if he has to report it to the police, yes, it's a Peugeot 205 XS. Yeah, with flames growing out the side of it.
Or worse still, if they find it and he hasn't told them, we found your car, sir. You won't believe what they've done to it. I did it myself. Right, I've got one here. It's a Citroen BX, OK? Sensible car, otherwise. Look at that! I mean, clearly what's happened, he was on the ramp having it fixed and he just drove off and took the ramp with him.
And of course, what's interesting about the BX is it's got suspension that goes up and down. A beach is gonna...
He's get stuck. That is amazing.
OK, now listen. There was one that was sent in, I just howled, because plainly what the guy had done was magnetise his whole car and then drive through a branch of Halfords. Shall we see that?
Yes! That is one of the best.
What does he think he looks like? But actually, there was another... OK, look at this. Some bloke magnetised the interior of his car and then went through a scrapyard. Look at this one. I think another 100 dials will be fine in that.
Right, spoilers. It turns out, and I think that we kind of know this, spoilers are a very rich vein here to explore when it comes to, well, spoiling your car thoroughly. And here, I think this is awesome, OK? It's on a Porsche. Look at that! Now that is a spoiler.
No, it isn't. No. No, this is tiny. This is a pathetic little thing. I'll show you something much bigger than this one. I mean, this is America, isn't it? Hey, I've got a bigger one.
This moment now. Second. Third. What a feeling. I am a driving god.
Conservatives have decided that in order to win votes, they've said that if they're elected, they're going to up the motorway speed limit to 80 miles an hour. Hooray. Do away with the vast majority of speed cameras. A purge of speed bumps. And, best of all, they will abolish the M4 bus lane.
Oh, that's marvellous.
But this is great. However, the government, the Labour Party, not to be outdone, have announced just this week that they, if they're elected, are going to widen every road in the land. It's at this rate, honestly, the Lib Dems will be on next week. Free Ferraris for everybody. And you can have a Lambo. One of these. I've wanted one of these for years. You know, think of the things you can write.
Yeah.
You get on, and I'm going to
Gentle
program
stuff.
a message in here.
Right, this is an alarm, which is nice. It's got a little Formula One car in there. It's a McLaren, I believe, and it does this. I just want you to imagine it's, let's say, a one-night stand and time for your alarm. 7 o'clock in the morning.
It's definitely a one.
It's really, but better still, you can then lean across and say, if I press this accelerator.
That's not a noise you want to have in your bedroom, is it? At 7 o'clock in the morning.
My advice is just leave it.
I don't believe this.
We've broken every single gadget.
No. This is a disaster. It censors your message.
What?
It censors your message.
It doesn't really.
No, look. Watch. Hammond is a... If you write a swear word in, it goes, you can't have that.
Jeremy, that was a piece of
I
clever
wrote
technology, and the first thing you thought of to do with it was swear. So it's a sort of a car. Well, no, it's not a car, because it does this. Whoa! What a sensation! It's got a 660cc turbocharged engine that's good for 115 fun-filled miles an hour. Help! I'm falling over!
Now, there is an art to getting in, OK?
You are joking.
To do it in a crazy and sexy way.
Yeah, you're looking fantastic.
Oh, you see, look, I'm
I
in.
can't believe that. Right, I'm getting in.
You see, this is a country where homosexual marriage is legal. And
He is my partner and also my lover. Lift your foot. Look at that. That's marvellous. Good work.
That's enough drug-addled idiocy from Holland, so we'll have insider dealing.
Oh, mate.
Now,
I'm never going to be able to get that out of my mind where I've just been jammed between Jeremy's thighs in a Dutch three-wheeler.
Shut up.
Oh, yeah.
This one, I can see, is very useful for storing sunglasses. But these two here, it's difficult to fathom what you might fit in them. I mean, nothing you normally keep in a car would fit. Road maps, CDs, boxes of tissues, and so on. The only thing I have been able to find which does fit is a stick of celery, which, look at that. Perfect. And that shows a level of thoughtfulness and attention to detail that we've simply not seen from any other car maker. In every other car I've ever driven, the celery just kind of rolls around, getting in the way of the major controls, which is poor and can be dangerous. However, the great thing about being a man is that I can improvise. So, what I've got here is a hoe and another hoe and a sort of long extending arm thing and some string and some duct tape and a clamp. And I think this is going to work. Right. We attach the end to this prong of the steering wheel here. Made in Germany, so it's very strong. Where are my scissors gone? And then we need the hoe, this one, on the extending arm. Good. I think I've thought of everything here. No, wait a minute. That's very good. This is a work of genius. I've got this to operate the gears. This one does the clutch, like so. This is for the throttle. And obviously that one does the brake as well. And this is the pièce de résistance, really. This is my steering. Look at that. Look at that! So, all I have to do now is test it, and I shall give £1 to the Donkey Sanctuary for every mile I cover without crashing. OK, here goes. Handbrake off, and clutch in, into first, and everyone out the way. Go. Well, that's a problem. If you want to go right, you have to pull left. Right, give it a bit of throttle. Away she goes. Second. Nice. It works! It works!
Top speed, any ideas? I'll tell you.
200. It turns out the only aspect of racing driving he's any good at is thinking up excuses. Just watch this.
He broke the car, it wasn't me. They forgot to tell me. Nice one, Levi, thank you. Every time I braked, the gearbox was coming away and moving forwards and taking the gear lever with it. It didn't half wobble, which it didn't do yesterday. The engine. I'd have been, you know, Levi's time blitzed. Probably a 1 minute 45 was on the cards, but it might be more of a...
But now you've got the perfect
220,
excuse.
230. Yeah.
He blamed just about everything there, didn't he?
I don't
Where is
think
he? Here he is.
Yeah, well, it was tricky, you know, things go wrong, it's exciting.
25, everybody!
Yes! Yeah, but look at it! That's going to be wing.
Loser.
It's a ridiculous loser. Look, it's a childish car, and look what it's brought out in there. It's not a man's sports car. I mean, look, now you're just being childish. I'm not going to get cross.
You lost.
No, you're not annoying me. I don't care. I don't care. It was...
Right, the news, and we begin tonight with probably the best piece of news I've ever heard since I was born. An event, in fact...
Don't.
Which eclipses the very miracle of my birth.
Hang on, the best piece of news you ever heard ever.
What is it?
They're going to stop making the Beetle.
And that's it? That's not the new
That
one.
is fantastic. No,
It's not
the
that
old
good,
one.
is it?
They're still making it till the 30th of July, and then it stops forever.
And why is that so
Why
good,
do you
really?
hate it so much?
Do you really want me to do it?
Well, no, just, I can't... I mean, it's-
OK, it's a rubbish car.
That's incisive.
That's the first thing. It's a rubbish car. Secondly, it was a scandal. OK, that car was stolen from a Czech bloke called Ledwinka, I think, by
yeah.
Hitler and his henchmen. They put it into production. They stole money off the German people to build it and to build a factory. They never got a car. Instead, they used the factory and slaved Russian labour from the Eastern Front to build V1 bombs.
So you can't blame the poor little Herbie.
And I haven't finished yet.
Oh, here we go.
In the factory, Russian slave labour built V1 flying bombs, one of which landed where my house now stands.
That is the most convoluted reason for
There's
hating...
more.
Oh, no.
Does anybody own a Beetle?
No,
Yes.
nobody's going to...
Right. Are you happy driving around in a mass murderer's personal biff bag? You are. Well, what? I mean, I don't understand it. It's completely wrong.
It's gone and you're rejoicing.
I'm chuffed a bit.
See you in the autumn. Good night.
On board a nuclear submarine, fighting the war continues.